Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Muhammad Faris. You can listen me. My number metric is AA200702. I will tell you about the introduction for our project, that is a manufacturing process of shoes. Okay, shoe is a type of footwear that is designed to keep the human foot safe and comfortable. Shoes are also used for our fashion and our appearance. Shoe has evolved over time and culture to culture with different shapes but still stick with the same function. Despite the fact that a human's foot can adapt with the variety of terrains and other conditions such as climate conditions, it still can be dangerous. The human's foot is not immune to sharp objects such as sharp rocks or thorny roads and extreme temperature. That is why shoes are made of. There are some shoes that are worn as one of the safety equipment, like steel-toe boots that are required at industrial roadside. Nowadays, fashion is also influenced by the design component for shoe making. Simple sandals that consist only of basic design and low material sells for a modest price, but high fashion shoes that are made by the best designer using high material and complex design sell for a high price. The more interesting pattern and high quality material used, the higher the price for that product.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Shazmi bin Abdul Saman. My number metric is AA201173. Today I want to present about two parts from shoes. The first thing is laces. Laces is a system commonly used to secure shoes, boots and other footwear. They typically consist of a pair of strings or cords, one of each shoe finished off at both ends with stiff section known as anklets. Each shoelace typically passes through a series of holes, eyelets, loops or hooks on either side of the shoe. Loosening the lacing allows the shoe to open wide enough for the foot to be inserted or removed. Tightening the lacing and tying off the ends secure the foot firmly within the shoe. The laces can be tied in different shapes, most commonly a simple bow.
Okay, next is the tongue. The shoe tongue is a strip of material that is found beneath the shoe's lace. It is located at the upper center of the shoe. It guards the top of the foot to keep the laces from rubbing against it. The shape and material that is used to make the tongue depends on the type of shoe. A shoe that is designed for athletes has a large and padded tongue, while for those who wear a dress, the tongue is made from leather.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Daniel bin Muhammad Nafri and my matrix number is AA200888. So my part is to discuss about the upper part of the shoes. So as the picture shown below, that is called the upper part of the shoe. So this component or parts of a shoe that cover our toes, the top of the foot or the side of the foot. Also the rear of the heel are referred to as the upper. The welt secures it to the outsole of a shoe. It is one of the two main components of shoe together with the upper and the sole. The upper of the shoe can be cut or molded as a single piece, or it can be made up of multiple section stitches together. Upper can be made of number of materials such as leather, lateen, canvas and many more. Upper and for athletic shoes are frequently composed of a breathable mesh fabric. Simple straps can be used as upper for sandal and flip-flops. Upper is designed to comfort the foot and secure foot to walk, run and do other things. That is all for the upper part. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nur Hafiz bin Muhammad Abdul Razak and my metric number is AA200398. So today I would like to tell you about insole. So basically insole is a material that placed in our shoes. So the insole are placed inside the shoes for extra comfort, warmth and a better fit. Other information about insole is they don't physically make the shoe smaller, but it also will fulfill the spaces in our shoes. The advantages of the shoes is to get a better fit. A standard shoe size is different depending on the brands, and the best option to use insole is to fill up extended space in the shoes. So insole also have can avoid blisters that can make our foot damage. Then insole also can correct our posture of foot.
The second part is midsole. Midsole is located between the upper and the outsole. The midsole is the part of the shoe where the cushioning and pronation control technologies are located. A shoe's midsole is typically made of plastic materials that feel and behave like foam or rubber. Midsole composition dictates the durability or longevity of the shoe, as well as the quality of the ride.
Hi. So earlier I was explaining about insole, so now I'm gonna to explain outsole. So the another part of shoe sole is outsole. Outsole is the part that assemble at the bottom of the shoes. So basically, outsole is the base of the shoes. The purpose of the outsole is to provide the traction and contribute or to how soft or firm the grip that affect the friction. Outsole are particularly made to resist friction, and the base commonly are formed striped to have a better grip. In addition, mostly all of the outsole are patterned to have a very lightweight because it helps to reduce the weight of the product, especially for the running shoes. It is because while we are running, we need to go fast and further. So the outsole is made light to have a smooth running and have a better grip, have a best grip to reduce the friction.
The basic material from the laces is synthetic fiber. The process to make synthetic fiber is polymer solution, and then coagulating, stretching, washing, applying fiber finish, drying, and then made it synthetic fiber. The advantage of synthetic fiber is more durable than most natural fiber, waterproof, and stain resistant. The disadvantage is burn more rapidly than natural fibers. Monofibers do not trap air pocket, melt relatively easily. The alternative of synthetic fiber is rope.
Okay. For the tongue is made of a sponge. Sponge is made from cellulose that comes in a huge stiff sheet. To make this sheet soft and jelly-like, they soak it in water that combined with chemical softener. Then, the jelly-like cellulose is mixed with the sodium sulfate crystal in a rubber mixer. This mixture is additionally dyed, and hem fibers are added and churned until it amalgamates. After that, the combined material is transferred into a rectangle mold and cooked. During the heating process, the mold contains a hole in the bottom to remove the melted sodium sulfate crystal. That is why the sponge has holes. Fine crystal is used to make fine sponge, and the mixture is cooled to make it hard and porous. Okay, for the flowchart for this process of sponge. Okay, first cellulose stiff sheet, and then go to the salt with the water plus chemical softener. After that, add a sodium sulfate crystal, then put it in a revolving mixture with additional dye. Then add gum hem fiber. After that, pour into rectangle mold. So it will begin the heating process. After that, remove melted sodium sulfate crystal. Then it will begin the cooling process. Then last, it will be a sponge. Okay, advantages for the sponge is absorb water perfectly, and disadvantages is maybe contagion. And if we don't use the sponge to make the tongue, we will use alternative that is carton.
So for the next part is, this is as shown on the slide below. As for the upper part of the shoe, there are a variety of material that can be used. If started with the most popular material for the upper part of the shoe is leather, satin, and canvas. For an athletic shoes, they use another material. For sandals and flip-flop, maybe a simple strap. There are other material that could fit for the upper part of the shoes, such as synthetic leather, knitted, pattern leather, and textile. For this part of the upper shoes, synthetic leather has been chosen to be used for the shoes, as it has many advantages rather than disadvantages. Moreover, many branded companies choose PVC leather for their upper part of the shoes. So, based on the flow chart that I've done, first process is collecting raw material, then mixing the raw material. After that, pass coating, calender, forming, surface coating, cutting and inspection. Then we get the PVC leather. As shown on the image below, the initial product, which is raw material, and the final product is a PVC leather. So the advantage for the PVC is that it is water resistant and stain resistant, high durability and breathability. The disadvantage is potentially affect health, and it could be last to 4 to 6 years. An alternative for using a PVC leather is use satin that has a luxurious look and feels, and other than that, use canvas to easily move.
Okay, next I will go through about the basic material of insole and the process manufacturing of insole. So, insole, the material of insole resin mixture has been chosen to be the material of insole. It is because the resin mixture can be formed easily and can be mixed with other material that can make them more stronger and have a high tensile strength and also flexible. So the process manufacturing of insole is of resin mixture is making a resin mixture by mixing a resin and hardening agent in a container, then impregnating a glass fiber cloth with the resin mixture in step 1, and in step 3 cutting the glass fiber cloth impregnate in step 2 according to a predetermined shape of a insole, and the last one is hot pressing form the product to cut the glass fiber cloth in step 3, and then preheated it to obtain the product of a shoe insole.
The basic material of midsole is EVA, ethylene vinyl acetate. The process of EVA is, the first thing is feedstock fatty acid or talc-based oil, and then non-catalytic cracking, cracked separation, fatty acid extraction and recovery, acetic acid purification, vinyl acetate monomer reactor, vinyl acetate monomer purification, and then made ethylene vinyl acetate. The advantage of EVA is flexible even at low temperature, resilient, crack resistant. The disadvantage is sensitive to heat. The alternative of EVA is thermal plastic unit, as known as TPU.
So now I'm going to explain about the basic material and the material manufacturing process for the outsole. So the material that have been chosen to be an outsole is a carbon rubber. A carbon rubber is a perfect material, since it have a cheapest price and give a perfect grip to the surface. So now the producers the okay so now the manufacturing process of the material is preparing an uncured rubber sheet, and in step 2, irradiating a portion of the crude rubber sheet with laser beam, and the next stage is tailoring the partially patterned vulcanized rubber sheet, and the fourth step is fully vulcanizing the tailored rubber sheet, and the last one is assembling an upper panel on the tailored rubber sheet. So the advantages of the carbon rubber is heat resistant and it also hygienic. The alternative is plastic, such as PET or PE or PP, or another alternative which is the natural rubber.
The manufacturing process to make laces is from synthetic fiber. We do shoelace braiding machine, and then tipping department, cutting and pairing, and make shoelaces. The advantage for the process is low maintenance for the machinery, and then braiding machine can be used in decade. The disadvantage is bleach and dyes are an environmental concern, and then those companies that dye their own yarn must deal with the liquid effluvia ejected from their factory and reclaim the water.
Okay, for product part of manufacturing process for tongue, shoe tongue is part of shoes that is behind the lace. It protects the foot from rubbing against the lace, or it will make the foot burning and uncomfortable. The shoe tongue comes with different kind of pattern and color. Okay, from sponge, we go to the process of measuring, then drawing. After that, cutting process, then sewing or stitching and turning. Lastly, we got the shoe tongue. Okay, for the measuring is a process that uses measurement tools to make the object size or length accurate or in accordance with our wishes. Okay, for the drawing is a process that creates image on a surface with a tool that leave marks on the surface. Drawing need use of a drawing tool and drawing surface, like pencils and pens are common sketching tool. Okay, for cutting process, cutting is the separation or opening of a physical object into two or more portions through the application of an accurately directed force. Implement commonly used for the cutting are the knife and saw. Okay, for the sewing or stitching is the process of attaching together two or more apparel parts by applying stitches with the sewing thread. The main two components of stitching are the seam and the stitch. Seam is referred as how the two ends of the fabrics which are to be sewn together are placed together. Sewing is the process of fastening or attaching two parts of fabric using stitches made with a needle and thread. It is one of the basic steps of the apparel manufacturing process. Okay, the next is turning process. Turning is a kind of machining and material removal operation that is used to cut away unneeded material to make a rotatable piece. A turning machine or lathe, a wood piece, a fixture, and a cutting tool are required for the turning process. The wood piece is pre-shaped piece of material that is fixed to the fixture, which is connected to the turning machine and rotated at high speed. Although cutting procedure use multi-point tool, the cutter is normally a single point cutting tool that is also secured in the machine. Okay, advantages for this part of manufacturing process. Advantage is preventing heel slippage. Gently push your foot back in your shoe. Then is protect the top of the foot. Okay, for the disadvantage is in other side for the tongue. For the tongue,
Okay, for the next part is how the PVC leather become the upper part of the shoe. So the upper part of the shoe is important for shoes to become an actual shoes. It is basically to cover our feet and protect them. If the upper part of the shoe didn't assemble to the midsoles, it wouldn't be called a shoe but a flip-flops. So based on the flowchart that on the slide is where we start from the PVC leather, then to the design process, cutting, stamping, sewing, then become the upper. So the design process is where the shoe design process start with research. Designers can come up with any design that will appeal to prospects. The designer then sketch and refine the shoe models, and last, so they are technically correct for the shoemaking process. After that, for the cutting process takes place as the design has been sketched on the PVC leather. Some designer design the shape using software and some sketch by using their own hand. So in this process, the worker cut the PVC leather using knife or a pair of scissors. To make it look better or more neat, they use a specific knife to do so. Some example for the knife, they use a straight knife, concave knife, flat skiving knife, and grooving tool. So after that, stamping process. In this process, the PVC leather is stamped by other leather to present some style on the upper part of the shoes. It is designed for purpose only. The leather is stamped by a stamping press machine. The piece of leather that make up the shaft are labeled at this stage of shoes production. To avoid confusion during the sewing stage, to demonstrate where eyelets will be punched, markings are made. The edges of each shaft component are also thin and make it easier to join the pieces afterward. Then we continue to the sewing part. The sewing part is when the sliced leather parts are sewn together during the stitching stage. Sewing usually begins the upper pieces before moving on the lining. However, before sewing, the leather pieces are frequently bounded together at the edge to keep them in place. They won't fall out of places as a result of this. Following the stitching of the upper and lining, the sewing are knitted. The completed shaft is then reinforced with the toe cap and counter. The counter is located between the upper and the lining at the heel, while the toe cap is located at the tip of the shoes. Eyelet can be punched at this step depending on the type of shoe, but they can only be seen from the inside. At this point, the shoe size is also indicated. So that is all for the process. So the advantages for this whole flowchart of the whole process is protect feet from unwanted things, and the cutting and the sewing also have a neat and precise. The disadvantage is that it didn't need to use the software to be exactly precise and have many type of design.
So now we're gonna go into the insole processing manufacturing. So in the last chapter we have discussed about the insole material, which is resin mixture with glass fiber cloth, which is it can give a high tensile strength and flexible. So now we're gonna prepare the insole. It has 5 steps, which is preparing the material, and then preheating the material, which is the resin mixture, and the resin mixture of mixture resin and okay. So now we're gonna go through the manufacturing process, which is the first one is the preparing the material, which is resin mixture and the glass fiber cloth, and then preheating the material to easily form the material, and then insert the material in the cutting place, and the next step is forming or pressing the cutter to form the insole that have a standard measurement, and then the insole are safely doped. Okay, so now we're gonna go through to the insole parts manufacturing process. So the manufacturing process for the first step is preparing the material, which is resin mixture and the glass fiber cloth, and then preheating the material to get a better cutting edge, and then insert the material to the machine to cut the material, and then forming and pressing the material to have the specific measurement of insole, and then insole are made.
The manufacturing process to make midsole is the first thing from EVA, ethylene vinyl acetate, and then we do heating, molding, cooling, and make midsole. The advantage for this process is machine can produce a lot of mold at one time, and then the process did not take a long time. Disadvantage, always need PIC, personnel in charge, to keep an eye on the machine.
So the last part of outsole is how we going to make the outsole from the rubber sheet. So outsole are made to get a perfect grip and increase the friction between the shoe base and earth surface. So we have chosen the material of the outsole is rubber, carbon rubber. So how we going to do the outsole? So this is the process manufacturing of outsole. There are 5 steps. For the first step is the curing the rubber sheet to get easily form the rubber sheet, and then heat pressing, and the next step is mixing the heat rubber sheet, and the last one is testing the outsole, and if the testing are approved, so the outsole are made. So the advantages of this outsole is cheap, oil resistant, and good insulation. But there are also the disadvantages of outsole manufacturing process, which is poor skid resistant, poor texture, and poor air permeability. So that's all for me. Thank you.
In a nutshell, it can be said that shoes are an important part of thing that human need to wear if we need to walk or run outside of the house. That is because the shoe can protect our feet from injuries. Apart from that, it is now known that every shoe has different type of material, and there are pros and cons to every type of shoes that have a different material. Moreover, every type of material has a different type of process manufactured by different type of machine. To conclude this project, the manufacturing of shoe include a variant type of material and machine, so that shoes can help to cover our feet, as there are many sharp object or rough object that could injure our feet. So that's all from our group. Thank you.